They've written to the CJ, that's Raphael Tuju, the head of the Jubilee Secretariat, wrote a letter to the CJ criticizing the judiciary and accusing it of being biased in favor of NASA. Now, we've seen quite a lot of changes in how the executive is approaching the legal fraternity, in how it wants to handle matters to do with law, even with the exit of AG Githu Muigai, the realignments of the people who determine what should happen, and as far as legal advice to the president has changed a lot. We've seen a number of judges also in the last day or two reshuffled, moved to different places. Judge George Odunga, who has been criticized heavily by Jubilee of favoring NASA during that electioneering period, has now been moved from the Judicial Review Division of the High Court and has been transferred to Machakos. Now we are seeing a letter from Jubilee within the same week. All these things appear to be connected. Yes? Do you think it's an attempt by Jubilee or the executive to try and influence now this third arm of government in how it operates? Already Jubilee appears to have done very well in handling the legislature. As you say, it is totally weakened right now. If the executive manages to do the same with the judiciary, where next?
You know, Fred, I want to speak with a lot of independence. You know, I want to speak as an independent person, a Kenyan. We are headed for very tough and rough days ahead, because what is happening to the judiciary, the affront against the judiciary, it is something that was predicted, because after the nullification of the August 8th election, you know, the president came out, guns blaring, and he promised to fix the judiciary. We will do this, but we'll deal with you. So, and I think Justice Maraga and the judiciary as a whole, they have tried to do a very good job. I want to tell you, the Chief Justice of this country, I just don't defend him because maybe he ruled in the way I wanted. But overview, he has tried to stay on the course. He has been scandal-free, and he's done an exemplary job. Even if he resigned tomorrow, even if he went into another job, he remains in the history books of this country as one of the best and the greatest minds we've ever had in Kenya. And I think I go back to NASA. You see, if we want to succeed in this country, NASA, as NASA family, we should come together. What has happened, you know, with our principles and all the swearing in and all those things, you know, the populist things that have happened, we should come together strongly, because, you know, a house divided cannot stand against an enemy. And so the executive is really enjoying. They're having a field day. As we in NASA, you know, fight over who's going to go to the Parliamentary Service Commission, you know, we are fighting for the tables. We are fighting who's going to have a loaf of bread, who's going to have a biscuit, and all that. The executive is busy destroying things and destroying structures that cannot be reversed. And
NASA appears quiet on some of these things.
Yeah, because we are having a little, we call it sibling rivalry. And so we should wake up from that and also live with the reality. Let's live with the reality that things have happened. And I'm not endorsing what is there, because NASA, we have a position, and I don't want to get into that. But we should have just to live with the reality. You know, sometimes you can, you and your wife can have this baby, and this baby can die, and it's very painful. You live with the pain. But the reality is that you don't have that baby. You have to find a way to ask God to bless you with another baby. And so I'm thinking that we need to rise up and wake up and get united and begin to push, you know, for reforms and defend the gains we have already made.
Because there's still a role for the opposition.
Absolutely. Even for the minority. And where we are headed, because you cannot believe it, it's not fair for a political party to write the judiciary a letter. And this letter is coming in when we've had the head of state saying we are coming and we'll fix you when we get there. This should not be happening, because I think Jubilee should just be on their knees, praying, thanking God, saying, you know what, we lost this thing, we have had a rough time, we got it, we have it, so you know what, let's move on. You know, you have the cake, you have it. you have the meatloaf in your hands. So why will you put down the meatloaf to go and begin beating neighbors?
Yes.
Yeah.
But what exactly is NASA doing? Because, yes, Jubilee, it's rather clear what they're doing, and they're working very hard. Of course, they've been able to pass the nominees to the cabinet. They're going after the judiciary now. They've managed to handle, or rather manage, the happenings in Parliament. The agenda is set completely by Jubilee, by the executive, and it's passed. Meanwhile, NASA is plotting to form a parallel government. This is what they're doing. This is on page 6 of the Standard. The National Super Alliance will, within 10 days, launch its National People's Constituent Assembly, NPCA. Now, this is a new organ. A totally new organ, and that is what NASA is engaging in as all these other things happen. Let's take a break. We'll be back to discuss this and a lot more, because the other big question is, will Kalonzo follow Raila? That's on the front page of the Daily Nation.